Hello BookTube, hello book friends. Welcome or welcome back to another video. Going to be a short one, I think, just what I've been reading this week, which isn't a lot. We've had a busy week with sick dogs who've been at the vets and work and various things, life generally going on. So I've only kind of read I've finished 3 books, but I've only really read 1, if that makes sense. So the first book the one that I would say I read was another in the Sharpe series, which is Sharpe's Waterloo, which, as you can probably guess, is about the Battle of Waterloo, and kind of getting towards the end of that series now. So I think I've got 3 more books to go, and this was a good one. I enjoyed this. It was a little bit different in the sense of because Sharpe has effectively been recalled. So, if you think Napoleon was exiled to Elba, and then that was kind of the end of the Napoleonic Wars, and everybody kind of was sent elsewhere, so to America or back to England, or was kind of discharged or demobbed or whatever you want to call it from the army, including Sharpe. And then Napoleon returned, and lots of people were recalled or came back, because they were previously in service. And Sharpe comes back as an officer effectively in the Dutch army under the Prince of Orange, and the Prince of Orange, who is a bit of a idiot, and yeah, it's the story of that, and Sharpe has now risen to, what is he now? He's a lieutenant colonel, or lieutenant colonel for those of you who pronounce it as it's spelt. And sorry, I'm being nudged by a dog with a cone on its head. And yeah, it's the story of, it's the story of the Battle of Waterloo, but obviously fictionalized with Sharpe in the mix. Quite enjoyed it. It was good. One of the better ones, and yeah, that was a Kindle read basically because I was busy. And then for Cthulhu Christmas, I read A Whisperer in Darkness, which I have read before, but was some time ago, and I'd completely forgotten the story, and quite amazed at how Lovecraft takes the story from what appears to be like a menacing or a haunting through to something completely bizarre and off-worldly and so on, and it really good. Like 100 pages is to be able to tell that kind of story, and the way he does it, which is mostly from kind of letters and from the first person of the narrator and the letters that he's receiving from the guy who's being haunted, or you think is being haunted. Yeah, so that was really good. Enjoyed that. I'm going to read probably A Shadow over Innsmouth as my next Cthulhu Christmas story, which I've got some time. We're a couple of weeks away from Christmas, aren't we? And then the other book that I started a week or so ago and had to put to one side because of life, and was also a Kindle read, but I finished last night, was, I don't think you can see that. I think you can see the picture, which is the dove and the jet planes. I bought The War With Me by Lindsay Hilsum, who Lindsay Hilsum is now a foreign correspondent with Channel 4 News in the UK, and has previously worked for UNICEF and I think various other organisations. She also wrote a very good biography of the war correspondent Maria Colvin. I got the name right. If I've got the name wrong, I'll have to put it up on the screen. Who was very distinctive because she lost an eye and wore an eye patch for much of her career. So she was kind of instantly recognisable because of that. But this book is a series of stories from her various postings and travels, as both as when she was working for UNICEF and as a foreign correspondent. So she's been in like Rwanda, Syria, Iraq, Ukraine, Crimea. She's been basically all around the world where there have been kind of wars or conflicts over the last, I suppose, 20 plus years. And it's the stories of the people she met, and each story is accompanied by a poem by a variety of poets. Some like W.H. Auden, Sifu Sassoon, people like that who are really quite well known, and others who are a bit more obscure, and either are also kind of journalists or conflict correspondents in their own right, or have been in conflicts and have used poetry as a means of telling the story of what's going on or how it's affecting them and so on. And this came from the time she spent recently in Ukraine, where she was posting a poem to he's very distracting with that going on. Posting a poem to, I think it was to Twitter every night while she was on mission, if that makes sense. So it combines the two. It's her stories and then a poem that kind of relates to that story in some way or that conflict in some way. Brilliant book. Really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm a bit biased because that's a particular interest of mine in terms of conflict journalism and poetry and things like that. I'm not a great... I don't understand poetry the way I would like to. And I guess the way to overcome that is to read more poetry. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. And I was up late I'm so tired this week, but I was up late last night because I really wanted to finish it. And it's left me with a whole list of different other people that I now want to go and look up and see if they've written books and things like that. So it was a fantastic book on so many levels. And I always think, I think, I can't remember who it was, said, when you read non-fiction, you should always find your next book from the book that you're reading, because it's, used as a source or a reference or whatever. And this is like the next book and the next book and the next book and the next book. I could find so many things from it that I want to follow up. And that's it. That's what I've been reading this week. So what have you been reading? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know. And if you have been, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care now. Bye bye.